Hello and welcome to Talking with Famous People. Let's talk the mirror relationship. This is a relationship that I became most familiar with first here on Talking with Famous People, as many of my first regular viewers and commenters and such were INTPs. And for me, the mirror relationship is the ENTP INTP relationship. These two are likely to get along very well. And they're known as being in the same club, which means they have the same interests and they have very similar cognitive function stacks. The INTP, of course, leads with the TI, followed with the NE, and the ENTP leads with the NE, followed with the TI. Then the third and fourth are also reversed. So INTP goes SI, then FE, and the ENTP goes FE, then SI. The result is there can be some challenges distinguishing between the two types. If you get a particularly quiet ENTP, it's easy enough to think, this might be an INTP. They have a lot of the same tastes and ideas. They tend towards philosophy and talking stuff out that involved a lot of parsing, or what some types might produce as splitting hairs. So the challenges of the mirror relationship from the ENTP INTP perspective are they relate to the quadra in general. So each quadra is said to have a quadra general, which is the most dominant type of the quadra. Alpha were all dominant types, so it's hard to say which one is a general, but I think it's supposed to be ENTP. I don't know, I feel like a general of the quadra. If I am, this is a horrible quadra to be a general of, because we're all so fucking contrary by nature, and every member of this quadra wants shit their way. ESFJ, INTP, ENTP, the only reasonable one of the bunch is ISFJ. So for me, the mirror type is a challenging relationship if you're trying to do anything. It's great if you're just hanging out and chatting, but if you're trying to do anything together, it's a challenge because nobody wants to follow in the alpha quadrant.
I've never heard of quadrigenerals before, but I've always considered the extroverted judgers to be like the most powerful in each quadra.
Okay, so maybe it's ESFJ then that's the quadrigeneral for mine. I assumed it must be ENTP because we're so fighty, but maybe we're the unruly first lieutenant, and they're the general who's got their hands full. Okay, so mirror relationships. Let's talk about yours, Hami, if you don't mind. Your mirror would be, I guess, the ENTJ, right?
Yeah.
That's Kunkel's type. That's Chad Crandall's type. That's Trey. What's his last name? Is it Trey Pierce? Yeah, Trey Pierce's type. The ENTJ would be your mirror. Have you any of those relationships? Can you tell us how you get along with those types? If you're watching, say, MBTV, how do you feel about the ENTJ when they're talking, stuff like that?
I don't know. I find that ENTJs and INTJs are very similar in like their manner of speech, how they present themselves. From like the ENTJ that I know in real life, I feel like it's a beneficiary relationship where he gives me more confidence and allows me to take charge and stuff like that, while me as an INTJ, I help steer him in a sense in the right way. So he's kind of like a student of mine, I guess, something like that. But I don't know, it's weird.
Well, it sounds to me like you're saying you both provide some sort of equally weighed benefits to the other. I think that's the nature of the mirror relationship. Obviously, the role function of the INTP being SI, they're at least going to project a pretty clear sense of identity of themselves through time and being reliable about that kind of stuff. And it's going to be a struggle for the ENTP, and then vice versa on the FE. I think that INTPs get from ENTPs a freedom to do shit that they otherwise wouldn't do, probably. And I think INTPs give ENTPs a reality check. Say, okay, hold on here. We've been playing a long time now. Let's do some SI. Let's figure out what we're doing. It's like that. So that's my thoughts on ENTP. INTP. Hami just talked about ENTJ, INTJ. JC, are you still here? Yes. Do you have any thoughts on the ESFP ISFP relationship?
I actually think it's a pretty good, like, we make really good friends. Like, the one ISFP I know, like, she's really artistic, musically artistic. She's a little bit artsy, like, actual drawing, but she's more, like, music. So, like, that's, like, what we bond over. And, like, I think she brings out that side of me even more. So, I don't know. I don't know, like, I don't know.
Well, that's, I mean,
Wait,
that
I
would
feel
be...
like in
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
yeah, I feel like in all of those relationships, the introvert sets the extrovert straight or keeps them in line, and the extrovert gives the introvert like confidence.
Encourage them to be
In a
more
sense.
exploratory or adventurous or something. Yeah, okay, well that would seem to make sense, and it would seem to make sense as to why those relationships feel mutually beneficial and why they're different from beneficiary and supervisor relationships, because both parties have about the same amount of stuff to offer the other party, which tends to make mirror relationships very well suited for friendships. However, it's said that they are not particularly well suited for relationships. Now, this is if I were going to say a type that would probably be good for me that's not a dual, I would think INTP would probably be pretty good for me. But according to Socionics anyway, the general perception is that those relationships have a fairly limited shelf life because, one, well, for example, the INTP-ENTP relationship, no party's really providing the emotional stuff, right? They're both pretty removed. And I think in a relationship you need some of that. So that's my thoughts on the difference between a relationship that's intimate and a non-intimate relationship. Anybody else have any thoughts? Megabro, you have any thoughts on this ENTJ, INTJ relationship? One thing I've noted
I wish
I'm sorry.
I wish I had
Go
the ENTJ's level of energy, man. I got like half that energy or less.
Right.
So it's always been something I've been a little bit envious of.
Well, one thing I noticed, you've pointed out before, is that ENTJs like to give advice and tell people how to do things. Like usefully. Obviously, some people are seeking. I want to know how to do this. If you ask an ENTJ, they'll probably give you a pretty sound answer. But as you've noted before in comments and stuff, NTPs hate being given advice. But INTJs, I don't think you guys mind it particularly or something. Can you comment on that?
Well, advice is a part of knowing the whole picture. The more information you can pull in, the better picture you can get.
That's a sensible and smart way of looking at it, for sure. Hami, you had something to say?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, well, that's why INTJs are smarter than ENTPs. All right, so have a great evening, everybody, and don't forget to eat plenty of cheese. We've just completed our discussion of the mirror type relationship.